What if I told you that the moment you stop explaining yourself, something strange happens? The people who once tried to control you begin to lose their grip. Most people believe silence is a weakness. They think speaking more will fix misunderstandings. They think explaining will earn respect, but look closely at your own life. How many times did talking more actually make things worse? In reality, silence is not the absence of power. It is the withdrawal of it. When you stop reacting, you stop feeding the emotional loop that keeps others in control. Manipulators, attention seekers, and disrespectful people depend on your responses to feel powerful. Take those responses away, and the dynamic shifts. This is not about playing games or punishing others. It's about reclaiming control over your own emotional space. The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that the one who controls their reactions controls the situation. Today, you'll learn why your silence is power and why it quietly forces others to lose control over you. Silence reveals who is feeding on your reactions. You may not realize it at first, but not everyone in your life is drawn to you for who you are. Some people are drawn to what you give them emotionally, your attention, your explanations, your reactions. When you respond quickly, defend yourself, or try to be understood, you are offering energy, and energy, in the wrong hands, becomes fuel. Think about the moments when someone provoked you and you felt the urge to respond immediately. A sharp message, a dismissive comment, a subtle insult. You typed long explanations, replayed the situation in your head, and hoped your words would change their behavior. Instead, the situation only grew heavier. That is not because you said the wrong thing. It is because your reaction was what they wanted all along. Stoic philosophy teaches a quiet but uncomfortable truth. Many people do not seek connection, they seek control. They poke, test, and provoke to see if they can move you. The moment you react, they learn exactly where your emotional boundaries are. Silence interrupts that process. It removes the reward. When you stop reacting, something revealing happens. The people who genuinely care about you pause, reflect, and adjust. The people who are feeding on your reactions grow impatient, irritated, or suddenly disappear. That contrast is painful, but it is also clarifying. Silence becomes a filter that shows you who was never interested in mutual respect. This is why silence feels so difficult at first. It feels like you are losing ground. In reality, you are reclaiming it. You're stepping out of a pattern where your emotions are being harvested. The Stoics understood that self-mastery begins the moment you stop handing your inner state to external forces. Practicing silence does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending you do not care. It means choosing where your energy goes. It means allowing others to sit with their own behavior instead of rushing to fix it for them. When there is no reaction to consume, manipulation starves. If you take one step today, let it be this. The next time you feel triggered, pause. Do nothing. Observe what follows. Watch who leans closer with respect and who grows louder in frustration. That observation alone will teach you more about your relationships than 1,000 explanations ever could. There is a quiet fear beneath the urge to react, the fear of being misunderstood, forgotten, or dismissed. Silence forces you to face that fear without escaping into words. It asks you to trust that your worth does not need constant validation. This is where emotional independence is built, not through dominance, but through restraint. Each time you choose silence, you reinforce a new identity, someone who cannot be pulled, rushed, or controlled. Over time, this discipline changes how you see yourself. You stop measuring your strength by how well you argue or explain. You begin measuring it by how steady you remain under pressure. That steadiness becomes visible to others, even without words. And those who once relied on your reactions will feel the shift, whether they admit it or not. Silence is not empty space. It is a boundary. And boundaries are where power quietly lives. It protects your inner world from those who never earned access to it in the first place. That is the silent strength the Stoics trained for, long before modern chaos began everywhere. Silence exposes manipulation without a single word. Manipulation survives on confusion, not strength. It works best when you are emotionally engaged, trying to explain yourself, defend your intentions, or correct misunderstandings that were never misunderstandings to begin with. The manipulator does not want clarity. They want movement. They want you off balance, reacting, adjusting, and doubting yourself. When you stay silent, you remove the stage they rely on. There is no argument to twist, no explanation to reinterpret, no emotion to exploit. This absence feels unbearable to someone who thrives on control. Silence forces them into a position they hate most, facing their own behavior without your participation. Many people mistake manipulation for intensity. They think constant communication, emotional highs and lows, and dramatic exchanges mean something deep is happening. In truth, it often means someone is testing how much access they have to your inner world. Silence breaks that test. It ends the game without announcing the end. Watch carefully what happens when you stop explaining. Some people will escalate. They will push harder, accuse you of changing, or provoke stronger reactions. Others will retreat, suddenly losing interest when there is nothing left to extract. Both responses are information. Silence does not hide the truth. It reveals it faster than confrontation ever could. From a Stoic perspective, this is not passive behavior. It is a disciplined observation. You are no longer trying to control how others see you. You are studying how they act when deprived of influence. This shift restores your position internally. You are no longer inside the storm. You are watching it from solid ground. There is pain in this process. Silence removes illusions you may have relied on. You may realize that some connections were built entirely on emotional availability, not mutual respect. Accepting this truth hurts, but it also frees you. The Stoics taught that freedom begins where false attachments end. Silence also protects you from self-betrayal. Each time you over-explain, you imply that your choices require approval. Each time you justify your boundaries, you weaken them. By saying nothing, you communicate something stronger than words. You trust your own judgment. This does not mean you become cold or unreachable. It means you become selective. You speak where there is honesty, and you withdraw where there is manipulation. Over time, this clarity simplifies your life. Drama fades. Confusion dissolves. What remains is clean, quiet awareness. If you want a practical step, write this question down. What did they do when I stopped reacting? Not what they said, but what they did. Behavior reveals motives. Silence gives behavior the space to surface. In that space, power quietly shifts back to you, not through dominance, but through refusal. You refuse to be pulled into emotional labor that serves no growth. You refuse to participate in cycles that drain your energy. This refusal is not loud. It does not need to be. Silence exposes manipulation because manipulation cannot survive without your consent. The moment you stop feeding it, it collapses under its own weight. And in that collapse, you reclaim something essential, your inner authority. This is why silence feels so powerful once you experience it. You realize you are never weak. You are simply available. And availability without boundaries invites misuse. Silence restores balance, dignity, and self-respect, reminding you that your peace is not something others get to negotiate or control without your conscious and willing permission. When you stay silent, you take back emotional control. Emotional control is rarely lost in dramatic moments. It slips away quietly, through small reactions you barely notice. A quick reply, a defensive explanation, a moment where emotion speaks before judgment has time to arrive. Most people believe control is about strength, dominance, or confidence. In truth, control is about timing. It is about the space between what happens and how you respond. That space is where your power either survives or collapses. Silence expands that space. When someone provokes you, the body reacts before the mind does. Your heart rate rises, your thoughts race. Words line up, ready to defend your identity. This is the moment most people lose themselves. They react to release discomfort, not to protect their values. Stoicism teaches the opposite path. Endure the discomfort long enough to choose wisely. Silence creates a pause that interrupts emotional momentum. In that pause, you regain ownership of your inner state. You stop being pulled into someone else's urgency. You stop letting external pressure dictate internal order. This is not avoidance. It is mastery. Think of how many times you said something you later wished you had not. Not because it was false, but because it was unnecessary. Words spoken from emotional activation often carry regret. Silence protects you from that regret by giving clarity time to arrive. The Stoics believed emotions are signals, not commands. Anger, frustration, and fear are information, not instructions. When you remain silent, you allow those signals to pass without obeying them. You observe instead of obey. That observation alone weakens their grip. There is a deep relief that comes with this discipline. You realize you do not need to win every moment. You do not need to correct every misunderstanding. You do not need to prove your worth through explanation. Emotional control returns when you stop auditioning for validation. Practically, this looks simple but feels difficult. When triggered, you breathe slowly. You say nothing. You let the moment unfold without interference. Often, the tension dissolves on its own. Other times, it reveals exactly what kind of dynamic you are in. Both outcomes serve you. Silence also protects your future self. It prevents you from creating new problems while trying to solve old ones. Many conflicts grow because of reactions stacked on reactions. Silence breaks that chain. It limits damage before it spreads. There is fear beneath emotional reactivity. Fear of being ignored. Fear of losing connection. Fear of appearing weak. Silence asks you to sit with that fear without escaping it. In doing so, you discover something unexpected. The fear loses power when it is not fed. Over time, emotional control reshapes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who must respond immediately. You become someone who responds intentionally. That shift changes how others treat you, but more importantly, it changes how you experience yourself. Calm becomes familiar. Pressure feels manageable. You no longer fear silence because you understand its function. It is not absent. It is a presence without noise. When you master silence, you reclaim emotional authority. You decide what deserves your energy and what does not. That decision is the foundation of self-respect. And self-respect, once established, cannot be taken away by provocation, opinion, or emotional manipulation ever again. Silence forces them to sit with their own behavior. When you stop reacting, something uncomfortable happens for the other person. There's no argument to hide behind, no distraction to blame, no emotional noise to drown out their actions. Silence removes the escape routes people use to avoid accountability. Most individuals are not used to being alone with the impact of their behavior. They rely on reactions to soften it, justify it, or redirect it. When you explain yourself, they focus on your words instead of their actions. When you stay silent, that distraction disappears. What remains is their behavior, standing alone, exposed. This is why silence feels threatening to those who act without integrity. It forces reflection they never intended to face. Without your reaction, they must confront what they said. how they acted, and what it reveals about them. Some people rise to that moment, others cannot tolerate it. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed you cannot control the actions of others, only your response to them. But they also understood a hidden truth. Your response shapes the environment others must face. Silence creates an environment where truth has nowhere to hide. When you withdraw emotionally, mature individuals respond with adjustment. They ask themselves what went wrong. They attempt repair. They grow quieter, more careful, more respectful. Immature or manipulative individuals respond differently. They grow louder, they provoke, or they leave. None of these outcomes are accidents. They are reflections. This is where silence becomes a teacher. It shows you who is capable of self-examination and who survives only through reaction. That knowledge is painful, especially when it involves people you once trusted. But clarity, even when it hurts, is kinder than illusion. There is a common belief that silence is punishment. It is not. Silence is distance. Distance allows patterns to surface. When you stop filling the space, behavior speaks louder than words ever could. You see consistency, not promises. You see effort, not excuses. Emotionally, this moment can feel lonely. You may feel unseen or disconnected as you resist the urge to speak. That loneliness is temporary. It is the space where self-respect grows. You're choosing truth over comfort, awareness over familiarity. Silence also ends the cycle of emotional caretaking. You stop absorbing responsibility for how others feel about their actions. You stop cushioning consequences with explanations. This does not make you cruel. It makes you honest. Everyone deserves the dignity of facing themselves. Try this practice. For 7 days, reduce unnecessary reactions. Respond only when clarity, not emotion, leads to the decision. Observe what changes. Who reaches out with accountability? Who fades away? Who escalates? Write it down. Patterns will emerge quickly when words stop interfering. The Stoics called this alignment, living in harmony with reality instead of resisting it. Reality does not require commentary. It requires awareness. Silence aligns you with what is, not what you hope people will become. In time, you will notice something shift inside you. You no longer feel responsible for managing other people's discomfort. You allow them to feel it. That is not abandonment. That is respect. Growth cannot happen without discomfort, and silence allows it to do its work. When others are forced to sit with their behavior, some will change, some will leave. Both outcomes protect your peace. Silence does not demand justice, it allows it. And in that allowance, you step into a quieter, stronger form of power that no reaction could ever provide. Silence is the highest form of self-respect. Self-respect is not loud. It does not announce itself. It does not beg to be recognized. It is felt most strongly in what you refuse to explain. Many people confuse self-respect with confidence displayed through words. They think standing up for yourself means justifying every choice, defending every boundary, and clarifying every misunderstanding. In reality, constant explanation often signals uncertainty, not strength. The need to be understood by everyone quietly erodes your respect for yourself. Silence reverses that erosion. When you stop explaining, you send a powerful message, both inward and outward. Inwardly, you affirm that your decisions do not require universal approval. Outwardly, you establish a boundary that says your inner life is not open for interrogation. This boundary is not aggressive, it is calm. And calm is deeply unsettling to those who are used to overstepping. The Stoics believed dignity comes from alignment between values and actions. When you explain excessively, you drift away from that alignment. You begin shaping your behavior around reactions instead of principles. Silence brings you back. It anchors you in who you are, not who others want you to be. There is discomfort in this shift. Silence removes the safety net of reassurance. You no longer soften your choices for others. You no longer manage their disappointment or confusion. This can feel selfish at first, but self-respect is not selfish. It is self-honest. You are no longer negotiating your peace for acceptance. Think about the times you explained yourself and still were not respected. The explanation did not fail because it lacked clarity. It failed because respect cannot be argued into existence. Respect emerges when boundaries are felt, not debated. Silence teaches others how to treat you by removing mixed signals. When you explain too much, you imply flexibility where there is none. When you stay silent, your boundaries become solid. People either adjust or distance themselves. Both outcomes are clean. Neither requires justification. There is also a deeper layer here. Silence restores your relationship with yourself. Each time you resist the urge to over-explain, you prove that you trust your own judgment. That trust compounds. Over time, you feel less reactive, less anxious, and less dependent on external validation. This is not about becoming emotionally distant or unreachable. It is about being grounded. You still speak when honesty requires it. You still communicate when respect is mutual, but you stop performing emotional labor for those who have not earned access to your inner world. A simple practice can reinforce this. Before explaining anything personal, ask yourself one question. Am I sharing to express truth or to seek approval? If the answer is approval, pause. Let silence do its work. You will feel the urge pass, and with it, a quiet strength will remain. Self-respect grows in these pauses. It grows when you choose dignity over comfort. It grows when you allow misunderstanding to exist without rushing to fix it. Over time, you realize something profound. Peace does not come from being understood, it comes from being aligned. Silence protects that alignment. It guards the part of you that knows who you are, even when no one else does. And that protection is the highest form of respect you can offer yourself, quietly, consistently, and without apology. When you master silence, you become untouchable. There comes a moment when silence stops feeling like a technique and starts feeling like home. You are no longer holding your tongue, you are holding your ground. This is what it means to become untouchable, not unreachable, not cold. Untouchable because your inner world is no longer open to invasion. When you master silence, you stop leaking energy into situations that were never meant to be resolved by words. Most people exhaust themselves trying to manage impressions. They explain, clarify, justify, and defend until there is nothing left. The Stoic path moves in the opposite direction. It teaches that strength is conserved, not spent. Silence becomes the discipline that protects your mental and emotional resources. At first, this discipline feels unnatural. You may worry that silence will cost you connection, opportunity, or approval. But over time, you see the truth. What silence removes is not what you needed. It removes what was draining you. What remains is calm focus and a quiet sense of authority. When you no longer rush to respond, you gain something rare: choice. You choose when to speak. You choose what deserves attention. You choose which battles are real and which are noisy. This choice creates emotional independence. And emotional independence makes you impossible to manipulate. People notice this shift without being able to explain it. Your presence feels steadier. Your reactions feel measured. You're no longer predictable in the way emotional people are predictable. That unpredictability is not chaos. It is composure. And composure commands respect. The Stoics believe true freedom comes from needing little from others emotionally. Not isolation, but non-attachment. When you master silence, you detach from outcomes you cannot control. You stop needing others to behave a certain way for you to feel at peace. That is untouchability. This does not mean life becomes painless. It means pain no longer owns you. Disrespect loses its sting. Provocation loses its urgency. Silence becomes a shield that filters what enters your inner life. Only what aligns with your values gets through. Practice this consistently. Speak less than you want to. Observe more than you explain. Let moments pass without commentary. Over time, your nervous system learns that not every stimulus requires a response. Calm becomes your default, not your reward. There is a deep confidence that grows here, not the loud kind that seeks validation, but the quiet kind that knows. You stop proving, you stop persuading, you stop performing. You simply exist with clarity and direction. Eventually, you realize something powerful. People can disagree with you, misunderstand you, or walk away, and you remain intact. Your sense of self is no longer negotiable. This is the final lesson of silence. When you master silence, you become untouchable, not because others change, but because you do. You reclaim authorship over your inner state, and that authorship is the kind of power no one can take from you. Silence, practiced daily, reshapes your life in subtle ways you cannot fake or rush. It slows you down enough to hear yourself again. It teaches patience, discernment, and restraint. With time, you stop reacting to shadows and start responding to reality. This is how a Stoic moves through chaos, untouched, steady, and whole, carrying calm forward while others remain trapped inside their own noise without awareness, discipline, and conscious choice. Silence never matures into power. It stays an empty habit alone, always. Today, we explored why silence is not weakness, but one of the most disciplined forms of power you can develop. We saw how silence reveals who is feeding on your reactions, how it exposes manipulation without confrontation, and how it restores emotional control when pressure tries to pull you off balance. We learned that silence forces others to face their own behavior, strengthens self-respect, and ultimately makes you untouchable, not by hardening your heart, but by grounding it. This philosophy is not about disappearing or avoiding life. It is about choosing restraint over impulse, awareness over reaction, and dignity over explanation. Silence, when practiced intentionally, becomes a boundary that protects your peace and preserves your energy. Now, the real work begins. This week, practice speaking less and observing more. Pause before reacting. Let moments pass without filling them with words. Pay attention to what changes around you and, more importantly, what changes within you. Growth does not come from dramatic actions, but from quiet consistency. Thank you for spending this time with me and for choosing a path that values inner strength over external noise. If this message resonated with you, take it with you into your daily life. We will continue exploring timeless Stoic wisdom in the next video. Until then, remain calm, stay grounded, and remember, your silence is your power.